So you're thinking about getting into infrared photography and take pictures similar to this one. In this video, I'm going to answer all the questions that I usually get and how to get started in infrared photography. So your first thing you need to think about is, what do you want to do for a camera? So I've got this camera here. You can use a normal camera, right? This is a Sony A7R5. You can use one of these and then get like the Hoya R72 filter, thread it on, and take infrared photos. The disadvantage to that is you don't know how long your exposure needs to be, because every camera is going to react differently to this Hoya R72 filter, right? It may be a 10-stop ND filter, it may be a 15-stop ND, it depends on how your camera reacts to infrared light. What I did is I bought a used Sony A7R4 and had it converted to a full spectrum. So what they do with a full spectrum is your sensor has filters built onto it. Anti-UV, anti-infrared, several filters that block specific wavelengths of light. So it only allows visible light to get onto your sensor. What they do with these is they remove all those filters, and then it's basically just an open sensor. So they will absorb infrared light, UV light, you name it, that's the type of light it will absorb. So to get around absorbing too much light, you use filters. So what I do is I just bought a bunch of lens filters. So, because some people, when they have these converted, they'll take like this R72 filter and have it put onto their sensor, and then it strictly shoots in the 720 infrared spectrum or wavelength. So there's that option. What I like about the full spectrum is I can use this filter, the 720. I can use this 470 nanometer hypercolor. I can use the 550 supercolor. I can use the visible plus H alpha for astrophotography. I have so many options to choose from that don't limit what I'm shooting, right? And so that's why I like the full spectrum. There's more options, more things to shoot, and I just enjoy the process. So can you use your phone for infrared photography? No, unless it has some sort of infrared filter on it. It's just an editing thing that they'll do to the photo. It's not an actual infrared filter, and so it's just not the same. So what are the disadvantages to an infrared camera? It's an infrared camera. Unless you were to buy a special what's called hot mirror, which apparently is a filter you can buy, put it on your lens, and then it acts as a visible light camera. And so you do have that option. I've never used one, so I don't know how the colors will look. So are they the same as just a normal camera? I don't know. I have no reason to get one because I have a normal camera, I have an infrared camera. And so I just go with that. So one thing you do need to do is, whenever you change your filter, if you go to the full spectrum, you have to set your white balance. So like this filter here, it's actually a red 25A. If you shoot black and white film, you'd probably be familiar with this filter. It's one of the black and white filters that people use. I don't shoot black and white film, so I don't know what it changes on that. But this acts like a 665 nanometer infrared filter, which not quite as colorful as the 550, but more colorful than the 720. So there's just all those options. So anything from like the 665 and up, like the 665, 720, this one here, the 830. I think Kalari Vision makes like a 900 something and a 1000 nanometer filter, which would be, deep black and white. What I did is I bought this little card setup, right? And so if it's the 665 or higher, then I'll just shoot green grass and set that as my white balance. The Sonys, I can shoot 3 custom white balance images, and I can have those set up. My original camera, which was like this little Canon SL1 I had converted, what you would do is I would take a photo of green grass, and that photo would become the white balance. I would just set it as a white balance, and that's how I did it. Anything from 665 and lower, then you want to use either the gray or a white card to set your white balance. And so like if I shoot with the 550, I'll shoot my gray card, take a white, then take photos. You know, if I shoot this one, that's a, you know, I'll set the gray card as a white balance. So for every filter, you have to set your white balance. So fortunately, like I said, the Sony's, I can set 3 custom ones. And so whatever filters I'm using the most, it may be like the 470, the IR Chrome, and the 550. I'll have those, shoot all of those with the gray card, and then I can just switch my white balance real fast as I switch my filter, and I'm good to go. So that makes it really easy. So other than that, there's not much difference in IR photography, except like I said, you're always setting your white balance, changing your filters. So one thing that I've learned with, as I see more people take infrared photos and I see what they do, a lot of people tend to forget that you still need your basic composition, right? I see a lot of them just, they're infrared photos, but it's like a mountain with trees. They're like, it's very two-dimensional. There's nothing interesting in the photo, right? And so you still need to think about what you're shooting, how to set your composition up, just like you do a regular photo. Don't just take a photo with an infrared filter, make it colorful in Photoshop, and then call it an infrared photo. Follow the normal rules of composition and, you know, ISO and all that stuff. So one thing about too is like, once I had this camera converted, it acts like a normal camera, right? Shutter speed's the same, ISO, aperture, everything works the same, except for the 830 nanometer, because it's quite dark, which is this one. It's a deep black and white. I usually bump up my ISO to like 400 to 600 normally, so that my shutter speeds will stay semi-fast, because it does block a lot of light. But otherwise, all my other filters, I can just go with normal settings, whatever I normally do, and it works just fine. So now that we have all those, let's jump onto my computer here, and I will show you examples of the different filter options when it comes to infrared images. Okay, so this one here, this barn in Colfax, that was taken with the 720 Hoya filter. You can see the colors are fairly muted. The sky is kind of a dark muted blue. Then you take that same photo with the super blue filter, which makes the foliage very yellow, the sky very bright. And you can see the difference. You can still see the color of the barn. This truck is actually supposed to be orange, but the super blue filter, which is weird, like the filter that has the blue tint to it makes everything yellow and a blue sky, and the filter with the yellow glass makes everything purple and teal. But so welcome to infrared photography. And so this is almost straight out of camera. Obviously I boosted the saturation and, you know, did normal edits, but this is how it comes out of your camera with the super blue filter. So if you take like this one, this was shot with the 550 nanometer, but I was playing with editing, and I just didn't want something super bright and exciting. I just wanted almost kind of like a Gotham feel to Chicago here. And so I was playing with the editing, and this is what I came up with, and I really like it. You can see the trees are kind of a orangey pink color. And then shooting Seattle, this was also with the 550 nanometer. You can see this image is called End of Days. You know, it was at sunset. Lights came on in the city. And it was just, again, just playing with the editing. Because when it comes to editing infrared photos, you're only limited by your imagination. So they can do so many things. And because you're shooting outside the visual spectrum, have fun with it. Do whatever you want. And so we have the IR Chrome filter. This filter was based off I think it was Kodak. They made an IR Chrome film back in the day, and Kalari Vision partnered with some photographer guy, and they created this filter, a glass filter that creates the IR Chrome look. So this is almost straight out of camera. Same thing, kind of boosted the shadows and added a little more saturation. But with that filter, the foliage is red, the sky is blue, kind of a dark blue. And again, you have to set your white balance to the gray card or a white card in order to get this look. With the bright filter, This is also what I got. Just total different editing. And so, you know, like I said, you're only limited by your imagination. Now with the 720 filter, this is the standard look that most people go with infrared. There's nothing wrong with this, but you're, like I said, just, it's out of the visual spectrum. Do whatever you want. It's your photo. Enjoy the process and just make it how you want it. So this is actually at University of Washington, just down the road. And then another, you know, super color shot. This is out in the Palouse again. And then the hypercolor, which is the yellow filtered one, is the 470 nanometer. And this is almost straight out of camera as well. Obviously it's a panorama, so it's several photos stitched together. But, you know, the foliage is purple. The sky is this teal color. And it did keep the color of the truck and the color of this tree. Not quite sure why this tree is yellow, but that's the way it is. And then one with the 830 deep black and white out in the Palouse, I caught this shot. So I really lucked out with the light filtering through the clouds and then the road giving a Z pattern to it. I just really like this photo. So those are kind of the things with infrared photos, right? Do what you want, have fun with the editing process, make them how you want them, and then figure out what kind of camera do you want. Do you want a full spectrum? Do you want it set to a specific filter like this one? Or you only want to shoot black and white, so you should use the 830. And those filters get put onto the sensor itself. And then it's just that. So I hope you learned quite a bit of information with this video. Got the information you need. So now with your infrared journey, you'll have kind of the basics of how to get started. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comment section. And I do offer an infrared 2-hour tutorial on my website that's for sale. Right now I'm running a sale at, I think, 20% off everything. I do offer one-on-one editing sessions over Zoom. So if you get stuck or something, you know, feel free to check those out and I can help you out any way I can. Otherwise, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button, and I'll see you in the next video.